What's up everyone, welcome to the first ever episode of Game Tangent. My name is Chris Enriquez, aka Hyper Neon. We've got a pretty big show for you today. I'm going to talk about some E3 news, I'm going to talk about my Scorpio predictions, and we're going to talk about some first time ever Zelda DLC. But first, I just want to say that because this is our first show, I'm not going to have any special guests this week. I want this show to be about engaging with members of the community. So my hope is for future episodes that I'll be able to feature videos, comments, and questions from viewers like you. So you see this box right here? This is where we'll be featuring your videos on future episodes. So be sure to send us your comments and questions in text or video format to the email address gametangent@gmail.com or to Twitter and Facebook at @gametangent. We'll also hopefully be having some in-person guests on the show so we can have more of a live discussion as we go. But since this is the first episode, you're stuck with me. So let's jump right in. Our first bit of news is about E3 2017. For the first time ever, E3 is going to be open for public attendance by the fans, instead of just industry members like it usually is. Now, many of you may know that industry has been kind of loosely defined in previous years, but this is truly going to be the first time ever that fans are being totally welcomed with open arms. And I think it's pretty clear that ESA has been toying with this idea for a while. Back in 2015, they actually opened up about 4,000 to 5,000 tickets, and they handed those out to exhibitors to hand out to their guests as, prizes and celebratory type things. Then last year, a special event called E3 Live was set up outside the main expo center at a venue called LA Live. Tickets were free to the general public and granted you access to guest appearances, live concerts, and game demos. Feedback for the event was largely positive, but fans wanted access to the real thing. I mean, who wouldn't? The good news here is that exhibitors themselves also wanted more access to the fans, so the ESA has opened up about 15,000 tickets to the general public. Now I'm really excited about this, not only because this is going to be the first time that I'll be attending E3, but also because I think it's going to be really good for the show itself. The show has been slowly shrinking over the past few years, as some of the companies have decided to pull out for various reasons. Most notably, EA and Activision both skipped the show entirely last year, although EA did hold its own separate event called EA Live off-site during the same time. I think this is a really good move by the ESA. The exhibitors want access to the fans, and the fans have literally been chomping at the bit to get into this show for decades. The exhibitors don't need to spend exorbitant amounts of money to build these larger-than-life booths just to court retailers anymore. They can and already are marketing directly to the consumer. If E3 starts to bring in a ton of fans instead of just industry insiders, I think it's going to go a long way towards bringing the companies back to the show and restoring it to its former glory. The one downside here is that the already long lines that you always hear so much about are only going to get longer, which will make it much harder for the press to get access to the games that they want to cover. Well-connected sites and reporters should still have no problem getting to the front of the lines or behind closed doors, however. So in this case, I think the pros greatly outweigh the cons. My take is that if you can afford it, especially if you're in the area where you don't need to buy plane tickets or a hotel, then you should definitely go. I absolutely think this is worth it. This is the gaming mecca. This is the Disneyland of video games. It's where all the biggest news and new gaming information breaks every year, and you'll get to be in the epicenter. Not to mention we have the Nintendo Switch, which is about to launch in a couple weeks, which is sure to be in full force at the show, and Microsoft Scorpio reveal, which is going to be really exciting. With no guarantee that the show will also be open next year, even though I think it's probably really likely, you should jump on the opportunity and head to E3 with me. Alright, so here are the details. Tickets went on sale on February 13th, and you can register online at e3expo.com. Hopefully I remember to put the URL somewhere right here, and if not, I'll make sure that the links from the entire video will be down in the description. If you're one of the lucky first 1,000 that managed to get access to the site within the first few minutes of it going live, then you probably already grabbed your tickets for the awesome early bird special price of $150. But if not, then the remaining 14,000 tickets can be had for $250 for the entire show. Last I checked earlier today, these tickets were still available, but there's no indication about how many are left. So you should definitely act fast if you plan on going. That price is pretty high compared to game conferences held elsewhere. Heading to any of the PAX conferences will cost around $110 to $160 for the entire show, as long as you buy them firsthand. And tickets to the world's largest games conference, Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, will only cost you around $50 US for the entire conference. It's also important to note that tickets to E3 will only grant you access to the expo show floor and the various panels and discussions in the conference halls. More than likely, these tickets will not grant you access to the various press conferences, since those are technically not associated with E3 and are generally held before the conference even starts. Even though the E3 tickets come at a pretty steep price, given that it's the first year for open access, that you're basically getting access to an industry show, and there's a limited number of tickets available, I think it's well worth the price. So what are your thoughts? Are you planning on heading to E3 this year, or do you think the price is simply too high? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Speaking of E3, we've got a little bit of news out of the Microsoft camp this week. Microsoft announced back on the 15th that for the first time ever, they'll be holding their conference on Sunday instead of the traditional Monday morning slot. The tweet from the official Xbox Twitter account simply states, "Brace for big news, hashtag Xbox E3 will air Sunday, June 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific time." Now on the whole, I think this is a pretty ingenious move by Phil Spencer and the crew for a few reasons. First, as it relates to the big three, they're going to be getting an entire day just to themselves, or maybe even a bit longer, depending on when Sony decides to hold their conference. When you think about this from the traditional internet news perspective, which features a blog roll where all the most recent stories are always at the top of the page, Microsoft stories have always been kind of kicked off the top of the page around 6 to 8 hours later whenever Sony has their press conference. So now, as long as Sony keeps their press conference at around the same time as they did last year, Microsoft will have a full 24 to 48 hours until the next major wave of gaming news breaks. And second, Microsoft is clearly ramping up to make a huge splash at E3 this year with their Scorpio tech. They truly believe that they have some amazing announcements in the works, and they want to make sure that those news stories are featured as prominently as possible for as long as possible. They want to really air them out and give them some time to breathe. So I do see one potential drawback to this plan. Since Sony has yet to announce their press conference time, there's still a chance that they can move their conference up into the 9:30 a.m. time slot just vacated by Microsoft. If Sony did this, then Microsoft's news would only get about 19 hours in the limelight, most of which would be overnight, instead of the 28 if Sony keeps their conference in the traditional time slot. They could even go one step further and move their press conference to Sunday evening, which would totally foil Microsoft's plans, but at the end of the day, I think that would look pretty petty. So the other pretty cool thing about this announcement is that now each of the big three are going to have their own day. Microsoft on Sunday, Sony on Monday, and Nintendo on Tuesday. No matter what happens, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this all shakes out. And E3, as always, is sure to be a really exciting event this year. While we're on the topic of the Scorpio, and since this is our first episode and all, I thought I might as well hop on the bandwagon and give you all a few of my Xbox Scorpio predictions. So my first prediction is on the VR aspect of the Scorpio. A lot of people think that Microsoft will be partnering with Oculus or partnering with HTC due to their current partnerships in place. I think it's actually a smarter move and much more likely that Microsoft will adopt a bring your own VR strategy. With the big push that they've been making to unify their platforms, with things like Play Anywhere, Xbox Live on PC, and cross-platform play, it's pretty clear that they're already trying to make the Xbox more like the PC. Given how expensive the current high-end VR devices are, there's no need for them to limit their potential market by tying themselves to a single device. Furthermore, at CES 2017, they announced that although they wouldn't be manufacturing their own VR devices, they would be licensing the Microsoft brand to other manufacturers. Pretty much every major PC manufacturer is already on board, with companies like Dell, Acer, and HP already announcing their own official Microsoft Windows 10 VR headsets. If Microsoft announced an exclusive partnership with a particular VR company for Xbox headsets, it would effectively kill the market for any other manufacturers that are in the game. And it would more than likely reduce their own profits as well. The difficult thing here is that they'll only be able to release games that are truly cross-headset compatible, or they're going to have to develop a system whereby they can designate which headsets are compatible with which games, which might confuse gamers. So my second prediction is that I don't think there's any way that Microsoft is going to stick to their line that this isn't a new console generation and that it's simply a premium Xbox console. So I don't think they're going to say it that blatantly or that they'll market it that way. They're instead going to ensure that at least for the first couple years, all games will be playable on both sets of consoles. Even if there's going to be a pretty large disparity across the two consoles, this really shouldn't be too dissimilar to the PC market, where developers have to make games that are playable across a wide range of specs. In this case, they'll only need to optimize across two devices, which really shouldn't be that much of a stretch. So I think they're going to do this because they've seen the lack of success brought on by the PS4 Pro's mixed messaging. Gamers didn't really understand why they needed it. You know, it was 4K, but it wasn't 4K, and it had HDR, but your old thing had HDR, and it didn't play 4K Blu-ray discs. So at the end of the day, in trying to appease their current owners, they really shot themselves in the foot with their marketing message. Microsoft wants a full reset here, and they want their message to be clear. So they're going to come out of the gate swinging, talking about how it's the most powerful console to date, and how it'll be the place to play your games in their best possible format. They're going to be clear that games will be better looking and better running on the Xbox Scorpio, but that games will still be playable, at least in a reduced format, on your original Xbox. This type of messaging will definitely serve to alienate some of their consumers, especially those who recently picked up an Xbox One S within the last year. The upside for Microsoft, however, is that they made sure that they got well ahead of this by announcing the Scorpio well in advance and at the same time as the Xbox One S last year. As long as the original Xbox gamers aren't missing out on big games and are getting respectable versions of those games, not half-assed buggy versions, then there shouldn't be much pushback here. So I think they will maintain this line about not creating any Scorpio exclusive games for a little while, probably about 2 years. Then they'll open it up and turn it into something more akin to what you're familiar with on Android and iPhone, where developers are able to choose the devices they want to target in order to capture as much market as they can. Basically, if developers want to reach a wider audience, then they'll target both platforms. But if they want to deliver the highest graphical fidelity possible, then they'll target just the Scorpio. Now, I think the duration for when you'll see them make this change will be highly dependent on how well the Scorpio is selling and how far out the next Xbox console is. So my final prediction is a simple one, and it's about the price. I think the Scorpio is going to come in on the higher end of what gamers are used to at about the $499 price point. Phil Spencer has been very clear that they're creating a premium console that's going to be targeted to the higher end gamer, but the price also won't be outside the range of what gamers are used to. Now, a lot of you will probably say that I'm crazy for saying that the console will come in at such a high price, especially when you look at Sony's price of $399 for the PS4 Pro. But I think that if Microsoft delivers on all of the statements they've made to this point, they'll have no problem asking for that higher price. If we're truly going to be getting a 4K, HDR, VR-ready gaming machine that's also a UHD player, this price is going to be a sure thing. Microsoft knows that when you line the two consoles up side by side and you compare their specs and you see the quality on the screen, you're going to pick their console every time. So that's it for my Microsoft news and gaming predictions. How do you feel about Microsoft's decision to move their conference to Sunday? What do you think about my Xbox Scorpio predictions? Do you want to let me know some of your own predictions? Be sure to let me know how you feel in the comment section below. Alright, so the final thing I want to talk about today is a little bit of Nintendo Switch and Zelda Breath of the Wild news. With less than 2 weeks until the Nintendo Switch and Zelda launch date of March 3rd, Nintendo announced in a press release and subsequent video that for the first time ever, Zelda would have 2 DLC packs as well as an associated season pass. The first DLC drops this summer and will include a Cave of Trials challenge, a new hard mode, as well as some new in-game map features. Second DLC pack launches holiday 2017 and includes a new dungeon as well as new story content. Check out the video.
皆さんこんにちは。ゼルダの伝説プロデューサーの青沼英二です。ゼルダの伝説ブレスオブザワイルドでは本当に広大なハイラルの世界を作りました。せっかくここまで大きいハイラルの世界があるので、さらにさまざまな体験を皆さんに提供したいと考えています。ということで、ゼルダの伝説シリーズ初めての追加コンテンツを開発することになりました。この追加コンテンツは2017年の夏と年末の2回に分けて配信を予定しており、発売開始は2017年3月3日を予定しています。追加コンテンツの概要はこちらです。この2つの追加コンテンツでゼルダの新たな面白さを提供したいと思っています。ハイラの世界において本編だけでなく追加コンテンツで長く遊んで長く探検して長くエンジョイしてほしいと思っていますので。
So I'm honestly a little bit worried about this move. Nintendo has always been known as a very consumer-friendly company that's been actively catering to the younger and more casual market as of late. Announcing DLC for things like a hard mode and additional story content can really work against their normal marketing message. When you couple this move, along with their announcement of a transition to a new paid online service, it really starts to look pretty bad for them. Nintendo really starts to look more like your traditional money-hungry corporation rather than your friendly Japanese toy maker. That said, I firmly believe in Nintendo's ability to pull off a move like this. They have long been the much more innovative of the big three companies, and they always deliver very finely polished experiences that have their own fun spin on them. Charging for additional modes and expanded story experiences is nothing new when it comes to open world games, and has been done very successfully before if you look at games like The Witcher 3 and Red Dead Redemption. The hard mode, however, is going to need to go above and beyond simply ramping up the difficulty sliders and lowering the number of hearts that you get. If they do that and deliver a new, fun, and innovative way to play the game in this mode, as well as deliver an additional meaningful story experience, this will be a win-win for both the company and the players. What are your thoughts about Nintendo adding paid DLC into Breath of the Wild? Will you be ordering the season pass, or is the price high enough that you'll be passing altogether? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. So that's it for my tangent this week. If you're interested in getting more of what Game Tangent is doing, then please help us get the word out by subscribing to the channel below and following us on Facebook and Twitter with the handle @GameTangent. If you want to join in on the conversation and have your thoughts and comments featured on this week's response video, or be a part of next week's video, then please be sure to send me your questions and comments in text or video format on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, or at the email address gametangent@gmail.com. Once again, my name is Chris Enriquez, aka Hyper Neon. Thank you so much for watching this first ever episode of Game Tangent, and we'll see you online.